Hi, have you ever heard about the term Kanban? If not, then you do not need to worry about, because in today's video, I'm going to discuss the famous methodology known as the Kanban, because Kanban is having a highest importance in agile project management, especially the project that belongs to the software development industry. So after watching this video, you'll have a basic understanding about what a Kanban is, its background, its history, the applications of Kanban, and most importantly, how Kanban is used in the software development projects. So this video will especially benefit the project managers, scrum masters, product owners, developers, testers, architecture owners, any role that fits in within the agile project management or software development industry. So this video is specifically designed for you guys. So without any delay, let's just get started. Kanban actually took birth from the lean manufacturing process. So before we actually understand what exactly the Kanban is, let me just give you a brief background about the lean manufacturing framework. So lean is one of the most popular and widely adopted framework, and it's one of the pioneer framework used in the manufacturing industry since decades. And now the lean framework is widely being adopted in the software development projects. So the Kanban again originated from Toyota, just like lean was back then originated from Toyota Corporation. So Kanban is basically a combination of two words. Kan means visual and ban means cards. So visual signals are visual cards. So together, Kanban means visual cards, cards you can see. Here, if we try and understand how the Kanban methodology actually fits in within the Agile, so I'll just reiterate the true concept of Agile, which is that Agile is actually an umbrella term, and under that umbrella, there are wide variety of methodologies that exist, like Scrum, like DSDM, FTD, TDD. So out of those wide variety of methodologies, the one methodology is Kanban. So Kanban is basically one of the methodology that is used within the Agile framework. This is how Kanban is different from Agile. Agile is basically an umbrella term. Kanban is one of the methodology that falls under the umbrella of Agile. So it is important to understand what is the pivotal difference between Agile and Kanban. So let's just move forward and try and understand Kanban on a bit better level. So Kanban is actually a visual management system that actually manages the workflow at a different level. So it has the capacity to manage your workflow at an individual level, or it could be at a team level, or at an organization level, or one step above the organization, which is on the enterprise level. In a nutshell, the Kanban has a capacity to manage the workflow of your project at any level, like individual, team, organizational, and enterprise. In the recent age, Kanban is widely being adopted at an organization and enterprise level, which we can safely see the true applications of Kanban nowadays. Here comes a very valid question, which is as to which kind of a processes or project does this Kanban framework actually fits in? And the answer to that question is that practically speaking, Kanban can be applied to any category of the project that follows the tradition of repeatable process. So what exactly a repeatable process? A repeatable process is a prescribed set of action, which means that each time you repeat the process, it creates the same output, which means that you have created a process which is again and again creating the same output. So for such kind of a processes, Kanban is more relevant and more applicable to. Another manifestation through which we can try and understand the true applications of Kanban, like as to which kind of a project or processes the Kanban is more applicable to. So think that in a manufacturing industry where you know the product specific in advance before you actually going to build it, and with this you have a lot of certainty before you are actually going to create your product, and there is a lot of stability, like just like in the waterfall projects there's a lot of structure, so you can make upfront planning, and once you have made a complete upfront planning, so after then you can actually implement it, and then you can deliver your product to the customer. So similarly in the manufacturing industry you have a better certain, you have better understanding about what your product would look like at the beginning of the project. So for such kind of projects or any process where you have a lot of certainty, that process for that kind of a project, the Kanban is more relevant and more applicable to. So in a nutshell, the Kanban board can follow any category of work if it follows a specific pattern of the following: to do, doing, and done. So what exactly to do, doing, and done is? These are three lanes of the Kanban board. The lane number one is to do, and then the lane two is doing, and lane three is done, which means that to do is the lane where you have all the requirements of your product is, and doing is something you actually took from to-do list, and now your team is going to develop those items, and once things have been completed you can just put them into the doing lane. So these are the three common lanes in the Kanban boards on a just simpler level. It's time to show you one of the most common visualization of the Kanban board, how the Kanban boards are look like. So this is a typical Kanban board that may look like. So if you see that it has 5 lanes. Lane number 1 is to do, and lane number 2 is plan, then develop, test, deploy, and then done. So to do is your all the requirements from your project. Plan is the items your development team has picked from the to-do lane. And then develop has all the items where you have taken from planning to development, and similarly from development to testing, and from testing to deploy, and from deploy to done. Which means in Kanban, the items are pulling from left to right, and this is the simple visualization of the Kanban board. Just to make our understanding a bit better, I have just placed another visualization of Kanban board. So this is just another visualization of Kanban board where the left side you can see the story points, then your team has picked stories in the to-do list, and then they have moved into in progress, and from in progress to testing, and from testing to done. Technically, Kanban is actually a pull system. So if you just look into this picture, the way Kanban works, that once the Kanban team try and pick a work item to work upon, they choose the item from to-do list, and the item is actually pulled from one phase to another phase. So if you look at the picture, the item is from to-do list to plan, and from plan it is being pulled on developed, and once from developed to test, and from test to deploy, and from deploy to done. And this is how Kanban works, because technically it's a pull system. Another attribute of a Kanban is that the work keeps on moving from left to right through development, which means that each time that the Kanban team chooses to work upon, the item they actually take, it moves from left to right of the Kanban board. Another thing is that once the development team finishes a work item, the next item in the queue is pulled into the next phase of the process. This can again be visualized from this picture, that once the team has actually taken items to attack upon from the to-do list, they have been pulled into the plan lane. And once the item has been developed, they has been moved to develop state, and from develop to test, and test to deploy, and from deploy to done. So Kanban doesn't practice time box iteration. Unlike Scrum, in Scrum we actually practice a time-boxed iterations. So the way Scrum work is that Scrum divided the whole project into small mini batches, which we used to call Scrum sprints. So each sprint is basically a predetermined time duration in which the Scrum team try to achieve the work from the sprint backlog. So all this work needs to be completed in the predefined duration. But in Kanban, we do not actually practice a time box iteration. Rather, Kanban is a pull system. It doesn't depend upon a time box iteration, but rather it just picks the items from left to right from the Kanban board. And then Kanban ensures that not too many work picked for any pace, which means that Kanban is having its own work in progress limits. Work in progress limits is basically Kanban restricts the Kanban team to not pick too much work for any phase, because picking too much work for any phase makes a lot of bottlenecks and makes the team's performance a bit slow. And that's the reason Kanban actually enforces its work in progress limits, which is the highest attribute of the Kanban framework. You might have noticed that each and every framework or methodology try to lay its foundation at first. So based on that foundation, they try to build their framework. So like other frameworks and methodologies, the Kanban philosophy is built around some principles. So first principle of a Kanban says that visualize the workflow, because the Kanban gives you the ability for your entire team to visualize and see your entire workflow, because Kanban makes all your workflow transparent so that each team member, every stakeholder have a better visualization of the complete workflow of the Kanban project. The next principle says that limit work in progress, and this is one of the core principles of Kanban, because Kanban actually restrict the Kanban teams to take too much work in any stage, because taking too much work in any stage makes the team performance a bit slow, and that is something not desired for the Kanban framework. And third principle is that the Kanban framework actually gives you the capability to manage the workflow. So the Kanban has a flexibility and capability to manage the complex workflow of your project, just like this picture you have seen below, which was actually a simpler workflow, but you can make it more complex depending upon the complexity and the nature of your project. And then make processes and policies clear, which is again one of the most essential principle of Kanban, is to whatever you are going to embark upon, your project policies and processes needs to be very clear and transparent for the rest of the team and the stakeholders. And the last principle says that aim for a collaborative improvement, because the whole paradigm of a Kanban is built around collaborations and continuous improvement, so that your team has a chance to look around how they actually went through with their previous work and what are the areas they are on an optimum level and what areas they need improvement, how they can actually improve for further development. And this is one of the essential principles of Kanban. So with this, we have now reached to the end of this video, and I'm now really hopeful that this video has equipped you well enough to have a fundamental understanding about what exactly the Kanban is, its history, its background, and more importantly, what are the Kanban applications, and in recent age, how Kanban can be applicable on an organizational and enterprise level. And then we also see that the technical understanding of the Kanban, how actually the Kanban methodology works. And then lastly, we also have seen the principles of Kanban. So if still you have anything that is not clear to you, please reach me out and just put the comments in the comment section area, and I'll be glad to get back to you with the best of my knowledge. Till the next video, bye bye.